Hey, it's Todd Burrier from toddburrier.com. Today we're going to talk a little bit about the seeds. This is another farmer analogy that should help you a great deal in understanding, why, right? Why some things just don't seem to work out when you're talking to people and some things do, right? Because you're going to tend to look back at yourself and go, what did I do wrong? And you know what? Most of the time it's not you. As long as you're being nice and honest and respectful, it's not you. Provided you have something good, right? And I say good, I probably shouldn't even have said it that way, of value. You have something of value, because not everything of value is of value to everybody, right? So there's so many things in the mix, but as long as you are behaving properly and sharing what you have with the right heart and, and getting, investing a little bit in that person and getting to understand what they need, you can't do more than that, right? So it's really important to understand the nature of the seeds. And there are some great stories on seeds. The parable of the sower kind of acts as a backdrop for this little message. The parable of the sower in the Bible, which I've read that story a million times. I've read it through Jim Rohn's readings, but it really relates to the work here because in the process, the second step in the process is planting the seed, right? That is sharing your story and sharing your information with someone. And so it's really important to understand the farmer's perspective on the seeds, because that is exactly what your perspective needs to be when you're planting the seeds. So think about the seeds. The farmer goes out and it's time to plant, right? They prepared the soil. They spent a few months preparing the soil. We're in planting season now, right? So you have to, right? So you make your contact, you got to tell your story, share your information. Make your contact, now you got to tell, right? Same analogy, right? Same connection. So here's what you need to know about the seeds. See, when the farmer goes out, the farmer knows this is what's going to happen to the seeds. You start spreading the seeds. First thing he knows is the birds are going to see this happening and come down and swoop some right up, right? The birds are going to come take some of the seeds. That's going to happen. They're never even going to get a chance to plant, right? So how do you relate to that? What's the analogy of that? Well, it's someone doesn't even want to hear you. They don't even want to hear you, right? Whatever. They don't take the seed. It's just you threw it. It was irrelevant. It went nowhere, right? They got other stuff going on. They got other distractions in their life. They got a poor self-belief. They got a poor belief in what you're doing. Whatever it is, right? Basically, the bird just took the seed, never even had a chance to take root, right? Then you have the seed that falls on shallow ground. And so that seed falls on the shallow ground and, maybe it starts to sprout up and then ground's too shallow, can't get nutrients, can't get water, it dies, right? So is that going to happen to your prospects? Yeah, a person takes the information, you're having a conversation, they're really interested. They might even sign up, they might not sign up, right? But bottom line is this is someone that you take through the process because they grabbed onto that seed for a minute and then gone, right? Just gone. Happens all the time, right? Happens all the time. You have someone who signs up, next day you can't reach them. You don't even understand. What are you kidding me? You signed up yesterday, I can't reach you today. Hey, they were shallow ground. And then you have some seeds that fall on the thorny ground, right? The thorny ground is maybe it's got weeds and briars that are growing up alongside it, and so it starts to sprout. Person starts to take action. They get involved. They start to take action. They're out there talking to people, sponsoring a few people. But man, after a little while, the seeds start to get all choked out by the briars, right? So bottom line is they don't stick around. Maybe they stay with you 30 days or 40 days or 60 days or whatever, but they don't stick it out. That's just what happens, right? So they got choked out, basically. They allowed themselves to be choked out. So that's three phases of the seeds that really don't produce. But then you have the seeds that produce, right? And so you have some that produce a little, some that produce a little more, some that produce a lot, some that produce manyfold, right? That's the nature of seeds, right? And you don't know, right? You don't know. Just like when you pick up the phone and make a call, you don't know. You don't know what's going to happen when you make that phone call. And so what you do know is your business is going to be made up of customers. It's going to be made up of the 80% group that just wants to make $300 a month or something like that. It's going to be made up of that 15% group that wants to make 1,000, 2,000 in that range. And then it's going to be the 5% group that becomes full-time and builds a bigger business. That's what it's going to be long run. You've got to know that's what it's going to look like, because that's what it's going to look like. As long as you work the process and you don't quit and you stay in it, you stay in the field, you keep farming every year, year in, year out, that's what it's going to look like. And so you got to know that that's the nature of the seeds, right? You're going to have birds get some, shallow ground, thorny ground, and then you're going to have seeds that produce. But you don't know which is which. And so a couple little nuggets here about this. One, there aren't any magic seeds. In other words, there's no perfect words. There's no perfect presentation, right? There's nothing magical. There's nothing magical that you're missing, that if you figure that out or find that or do that, it's going to make your life easy street. No, it's just working the process and planting the seeds. Does that mean you can't look for better tools? Of course you should. Does it mean you shouldn't develop better skills? Of course you should, right? You can get really good, but you're never going to get magical to the point where every seed you plant works. Right? That's never going to happen. So don't even worry about it, right? Don't try to be perfect. Next is, don't chase the birds. Don't chase after that guy who's like not giving you the time of day. Right? Don't waste your time like that. Don't make that person's issue your issue, because that's what you're doing. Don't chase the birds. Don't fight nature, right? Shallow ground, thorny ground, let it be. It's going to be what it is, right? And so if you fight nature, here's the thing. When you chase the birds and you fight nature, what are you not doing anymore? You're not planting seeds, right? You're not planting seeds and you're not nurturing the ones that are growing. So essentially what you're doing is investing your time in non-productive activities when you could be doing something productive. Think about it that way. There's too big an opportunity cost for you to go try to convince your Aunt Gladys, who's just not interested. Aunt Gladys, she just won't do it. Okay, she won't do it. Let her not do it. Go find somebody else. Go plant a new seed. So the final rule is nurture what grows and keep planting. That's the way you have to operate with your seeds. Nurture what grows and keep planting. So I hope that message was helpful for you. Please share it. I'm sure that can help other people. And if you haven't yet, go up and get my 27 phrases that work. That will really help you. And make sure you get registered so you can get my blogs on a regular basis. All right. Hey, thanks for stopping by.